we are becoming conscious leaders, we really need to bring all of ourselves to the work that we do. And part of that is that integrity of your whole being.
Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. And welcome everybody to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. I'm so grateful you're here today. We've got the Oracle in the house, so I'm grateful that she's here. And Lia, someone that I've actually worked with, so I really appreciate her as the Oracle that she is and the way she supports people. Honestly, she's just a lovely person. So you just need to know her, and and she's very smart. She's got a lot of interesting takes, I imagine. I haven't heard her talk about this subject yet, but we're going to be talking about what's emerging right now, right? The conscious evolution continues. AI is going to be a part of it, and we're going to be asked to take more conscious leadership in this digital age. And how do we go about doing that? So, Lia, grateful to have you back.
Thank you so much for having me again, Daniel. I appreciate you sharing your stage with me. And yeah, I think this is a really interesting and timely topic right now, for sure.
Oh, yeah. So, well, now people will want to know something about you. I know you've been, doing this Oracle stuff for a long time. So tell the audience a little bit about your intersection with your own conscious leadership and what you've been up to the last, 28 plus years.
Exactly. Yes, that's a good. Well, it's a lot, but we'll kind of abbreviate it for you. I think I'll tie it back to the conscious leadership piece because I think that's the most important now. Yes, I have always been an intuitive, legally whatever branded myself as Oracle Intuitive in 2015. So that's been for the last 10 years, it's been out in front. However, of course, I've been doing the work since 1994. So I say that because it kind of speaks to the idea of like when we are becoming conscious leaders, we really need to bring all of ourselves to the work that we do. And part of that is that integrity of your whole being. And so for me, it meant kind of coming out of, if you will, the shadows, right? Of hiding that part of my gift that I was using in the work that I did as a coach and a clinical hypnotherapist. Like I was using it everywhere, but not really fully embracing it and sharing it with the world outright. And to me, the difference of why that matters is because as a conscious leader, I need to represent the very thing I'm saying matters, which is bringing all of yourself to the work that you're doing, the leading the people you're leading. They want to see all of you because by seeing you step into that fully, they are then, of course, encouraged to do the same. And ultimately, all of the tools and technology that we have is driven by humans. We are the ones creating it. So the better we can be more aligned with ourselves and our souls and our consciousness, the better off, I think all of humanity will be.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I know you work with a lot of different entrepreneurs, and some are, quite successful and mid six figures, seven figures, what have you, right? So I see the posts that you make, and I met some of the people too, being in your one of your groups. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that because I want people to know that you've been helping people with conscious leadership for a long time now, and um, so you're helping people in part, like really weave trusting their intuition. I saw it on some of those calls. I mean, you do a lot of different work, right, with people, but like one of the things I saw you doing is really helping people stand in their real strength and clarity and power that they already have, but they're like, well, I just remember some of the people on there, not making fun of them, but like we all do it at times for sure. But like, well, I could do this, I could do that. I just don't know. I'm not sure yet. And like, but then you help people to, reclaim their power in a sense. The
Absolutely.
oracle can be a part of that, right? Helping them to hear it from the oracle. Okay, yeah, I'm aligned, right? But
Yes,
tell us
exactly.
more how that works, how you help people with that conscious leadership.
That's such a great question about the difference. And I think it's important because, some people will come to me saying like, okay, well, what does the oracle say? And I will always remind everyone, and I'm reminding you all here, like, if you're looking for intuitive guidance, I think it's fabulous and I think it's important. And it really should end up validating, right? And aligning with what your own inner knowing or intuition is already showing you. So, part of what I do with those leaders that want to actually step more fully into that, because as they recognize, and a lot of times I would say that the people that at this level that are working with me, especially one on one, in the mid 6 to 7 figures, the challenge that they find themselves in is they get into an either or, like you said. They start creating this sense of like, well, I have to make money or I have to be whole. I can't do both.
Mhm.
And so for me, it's like it's a yes and world. We can do both, and we actually are meant to do both. And that is about bringing just your own internal leanings, your own nudges, understanding what they are, learning how to actually discern. And a lot of what you're talking about right now, what you just asked was, where is that level of discernment? For me, the discernment isn't me as the oracle offering you some insight or perhaps even a directive, if you will, sometimes, but it's about where does that land in your own body? Where does it actually resonate with what a part of you is already telling you? And a lot of business owners and founders at that level, they're deeply invested in the structure of a business, and the soul of the business starts to lose caring and its tending to. And so for me, it's like, how do we integrate both of those things? Because I believe that that 360-degree view of all of who you are being brought to not only your life as well as your business is what this is all about. And conscious leaders have a leaning already because they're already kind of becoming either awakened to, or they've had that knowing all along and they've been pushing it down. So for me, it's one of those two. It's like usually someone who's already very much interested in the idea of consciousness, of, super intelligence. They have this sense that there is more to the story, and yet they're not really activating that in their own lives and businesses. And so my goal is to guide them into the process of figuring out what those things are for them, and then how to
Mhm.
incorporate that and build their businesses and do the work they're meant to be doing in the world in the way they're meant to be doing it.
Do you want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free meditate, make money meditation today.
Right. Because I mean, definitely, when I've worked with those type of people, they're often they're flaming out, right? They're flaming out. They're like, I'd like to have more wholeness, but I need to grow my business, and that's just bottom line. I need to get to work. Oh, I
Yeah.
want more wholeness. So like, that's
True. Yeah.
course, right? Like they're doing the dance, and once they realize there's a line divine fire within, they can more kind of relax into and let it flow and still be like very inspired and do accomplish a lot. It's a big shift for them in terms of how they feel and the ability to scale because. Everybody talks about they're busy trying to figure out the mechanics of how to scale, right? And they're not doing the inner scaling.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's about integrating the two so that they work together. We're getting ready to do a retreat in May, and the byline of the retreat, the theme of the retreat is awaken the power within you, because there is this power inside of you that actually knows how to get through these challenging times that you're facing, that understands the bigger view and the bigger picture of why things are going on in your work or your life or your business. And if you are in tune with that, and if you're practiced at it, then you can utilize that power, like you said, to kind of calm your nervous system. A lot of people talk about regulation right now. And being a conscious leader, you need to have some tool, some practice regularly to really deal with that, you know, discord inside of your own system. And so, yeah, that's a lot of what I do help my clients with, especially the ones that work with me one on one, because they have a lot more access to me. And even in the group program, which you got to visit for a few months, we do focus on that because ultimately, if you don't, I mean, the risk there is really if you don't do that, as you
Mhm.
said, you'll burn out or you'll become overwhelmed, and then you'll find something else. But then you'll also become overwhelmed and you'll go find
Right.
something else. And so it's
I'm so sick of this, whatever it is.
like, right? It's like, yeah, the reason you're going around in circles is because you haven't stopped to really address the main issue, which is you're not aligned with your conscious leveled wisdom and the power of that wisdom and the work it is meant to allow you to do. And I also, of course, I believe that there is a main through line, a unique life purpose that everybody has that they're meant to do work around. And that when we put all those pieces together is when people really start to see great results. And often, side note, actually working less, taking a lot more off of their plate than putting it on.
Yeah, I mean, I would say even people at all these different, higher levels too, and then, there's other people listening too today, but when we're talking about those higher, a little bit higher levels in business, it's like they're still getting sidetracked, right, by all the tactics and stuff. Well, this guru is gonna teach me all this stuff, so let me go over here and learn this, and like they're still like allowing a certain level of like pull and influence by those things to kind of take over. And maybe at the same time they're trying to go on their meditation retreats and like they're doing both, but there's not the integration, between
Yes.
all of it, right? Which I believe that's where you come in part, right? Is to help with the, from what I've seen, spiritual, also like personal development, right? You don't like neglect the personal development. Like you're, gotta be
Definitely not.
totally the opposite. That's kind of where I was
I was
screaming.
like, I kind of lead with the personal
This is
development piece.
hard. This personal development part you put me through.
Yes, it's true. It's funny. And I would say that you're right. Like some people like they're out there and here's what might be surprising to most people is I love technology. I love AI. I love all the new tools. And because and from my perspective, I understand it as something that is there to evolve us, not for us to be taken over by. And so
Mhm.
I think the difference is like for me, it's like great if you like this tool, if you like this new, if there's something someone's saying that's really inspiring you, rather than giving over your power to them or it,
Mhm.
utilize that skill, utilize that technology to do more of what you are meant to do in your own way. And yes, that's where that bit of personal development starts to come into play, which is we really are more magnificent than we think, oftentimes. I would say most of the time,
Yeah.
as individuals. And so that's to me the beauty is when we can put all those pieces together and say, look, you don't have to give up your own power to play with quote unquote the big boys, you know, or to have the life someone else has because, newsflash, that person, as you just said, whether they're at 8 or 10, I've talked to people in rooms where there's, 8 and 10 figure, well, maybe eight. I'm gonna be honest there. That I've been sitting around the table with that hello, they're having some of these same conversations because they're still human. And
Right.
this part of this is about that integration. It's so important. And it's not a one-time deal. I guess that's what I'd also say. It's not like you're gonna get to this sense of enlightenment, you're gonna integrate yourself, and then you're gonna go out and build this life, and you're never gonna have to do any personal development again. You're all set. It doesn't work that way. It's like everything you experience gives you the opportunity to get even deeper into that personal development. And I think that's what consciousness is trying to do. It's growing through us as us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, there's still some of those ideas, I suppose, out there, right? Like it's a static place, this enlightenment where now I am. Hello, I am. That's all. That's my whole life. Like, and I think it does
Uh,
become that for some people for a while, but then they'll find like they still have things they're complaining about. Even no, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying like this is happening, or like I've met people like that, right? Oh, this is happening. That does no. I'm really happy, and I don't. It doesn't bother me, and like I just said that it bothered you, but okay, like
yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes
so,
I'll say when people say, I'm like, well, that's interesting because you should tell that to your face because your face is saying something completely different than
right.
your words. Your words, your body, your action, they're not aligned. Of course, having a little extra sight helps me to recognize when people are like, okay, I feel like you're just saying the thing you're supposed to say, but I don't think that's actually true for you right now. And I think that's great. Like knowing that and having reflections, like I said, it is good to have people outside that can kind of reflect that back to you on occasion. And ultimately, you still have to do the work. You still have to be the one to take that reflection, take all the pieces that are exciting you and put them together in a way that makes your life, your individual life, the best it can be.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely, my experience of you was like you're very light and heart-centered, but then there's the get down to business, call people out stuff too. So both is it's a good combo. It really is. I mean, I've got some of that combo in my own way, right? So I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah, this conscious evolution during these times when you can doom scroll and put on the TV and like maybe I don't know, like you can have 5 different devices on at one time. Like, I don't have enough going at once. There's so much going on. I can't keep up. Talk to AI. I'm going to watch a video and I'm going to live stream myself. I don't know. So I don't know. I'm making something crazy up, but like it literally is that almost that crazy at times nowadays. And so there's this idea of like I'm going to take it really fast now. Like this idea of integrating with the technology is really interesting, right? And the proposed idea is, well, there'll be something under your skin right here on your arm, or they'll put
Yeah.
the chip in your brain or whatever, and all these different ideas. And I'm for the technology, but I'm also like, well, of course we have to be mindful of how we use it, because I guarantee you, they start putting it in your body is not going to respond well. Like I can guarantee that. Like that's 100%. I don't care what they tell you. It's going to hurt your body. So we have to find a way to integrate with all these fabulous toys, we have, but we also have such enormous technology within that we have not tapped into. We have all this infinite intelligence. That's why I'm into the energy scan stuff and training people how to use those gifts, right? But because we have so much more available like there, and we're busy using these devices. It's not either or, but I'm just saying like we have so much more we haven't explored within as well. So how do you see like the integration and the how we're bringing all this together when we're talking about like leading the way with conscious leadership? Businesses are thinking about how can I make better use of AI and all that sort of thing.
Absolutely. I think you've hit on a couple of really important points, which is with the new tools of technology, right? So we're talking like implants and things like that. I mean, I think as much as it's like far away, it's also right around the corner.
Right,
So
right.
we
It's not
have
that
to,
far.
yeah, right. It's not that far. And I think that part of that is the closer and more intuitively guided we are within our own system. So I think you're right. The ecosystem that is us as humans, we have an amazing, factory of intelligence and training and understanding that we have yet fully tapped into. So part of this is there is also always going to be someone who wants the hack. They want, how do I do that faster? Now, yesterday, right? And it's like I think I just had this conversation in my private mastermind the other day, which is like that's not the point. The point isn't to get there faster necessarily. The point is to have more fully enveloped and embraced and embodied sense of the capacity of our humanity. That we actually do have miraculous senses and skills that we have yet to fully tap into. That being said, I always have to chuckle because then I think, do you know how these things were created? Because someone tapped into that source. Someone saw a vision of this tool or resource or technology. It's like you have to understand it is behind the thing we are creating always. So to best utilize it, and you're right, people are out there looking like how do we adapt this? I want to be on the front edge of this. I want to be the leader in this. I want to help my particular building business, or my group, my existing group of clients, etc. Clients perhaps. I want them all to have access to this. I want to really dive in and take advantage of it. Great. First, make sure they're taking advantage of what they already have. And I agree with you. First, make sure that they know for themselves what is them, what is theirs, so that they can recognize how and where the integration begins. What is what is helpful in technology? What is going to add to what they're creating rather than supplant what they're creating? And so, people talk about sometimes about like the AI and people will say like the dumbing down of society and things like that. I think it's because we're still not understanding that it isn't an either or, it is a yes and. And if we utilize it so that we are taking conscious and intentional steps to integrate it into who we are, not the other way around, then we get the best from it, right? We do get the efficiencies of it. And we still get to utilize our own gifts, talents, and our purpose in bringing something new creation wise to the world. It is a symbiotic, it can be, and I hope that it will be eventually a symbiotic relationship. And so I think it just really kind of, if you dig down deep, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about being more human. And it's funny that we're saying, oh, how can technology help us be more human? Well, because it can actually take up some of the load and help us to reflect back to ourselves what we truly are meant to do here, period.
Okay. And it'll have capacities that we don't seemingly have. Who knows what we're capable of? We don't even know that, right? Like I said. So, but seemingly has capacities we may not have. And, but I got to tell you, I'll just go on a quick rant on this one. Like, I can't tell you. I mean, it's been, I don't know if I've said it out loud, but I'm like, this is stupid. This AI is just not in a good way. Stupid. It's a stupid AI. I'm like, hey, can you, like doing copywriting or something with it, hey, can you change this and make it like this and that? And it like feeds it back to me almost exactly the same way, like with the same words. I just told it to delete. I'm like, you're worse than a human right now, at least. Like, so, I mean, it's not, this idea is the holy grail. It's some infallible, kind of a technology that's coming. I don't think too many people believe that yet, but I mean, this idea that that's happening, I think it'll always be glitchy with stuff, right? Just because it's the nature of life. Like, it's never going to be perfect. But I feel I've been using it less, actually.
Mm.
Like, I was sorry, okay, I'll put the time in. Everybody's saying put the time in, do it, do it, do it. And then after a while, I just got to be like, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. It's going to be helpful with like things like copywriting and stuff. Maybe figuring, I do use it on regular in terms of like researching things like a search engine, right? Like, hey, look for this, get me this information. So I do use it pretty regularly for that. And it's amazing. It's totally amazing at that. But there's so much I don't know about it, I must admit. But it's like, how much time do I invest in that versus so many other things to put into the pie, right? There's so much, there's so many choices now, and the only thing it can tell you again is your own guidance, right? When you're honest with that guidance, yeah.
That part.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That
Right.
part. When you're, and that's it. Like, that's why I think it's so much, it can be embraced as a tool and it can help you have moments of clarity. I'm going to really be clear about this. It can help you have moments of clarity when you're overthinking things. And that's the way I think it's nice. It's like, it's a great, in that way, it's a great sounding board to reflect something back to you. Like you just said, like, no, that's not what I want. Great. Guess what? You now know what you want, right? It's like, you have clarity for what you want.
Right.
Again, I think the real way to speak, to remain conscious about it, is to remain clear that you are the end all be all decider of what you create and put out into the world. These are tools to help you do that more efficiently, right? And so that you have more time, by the way, to spend in conscious, reflection of what you want to create in the world. So like, yes, please use it that way, because that piece of the consciousness that you're tapping into, it's limitless. And so when you spend more time in reflection, in introspection, and then in visioning and creating what you want to create and see in the world, the world is better for it. Using a tool to make the process of that smoother or easier or more efficient, I think is fabulous. It is about, where do we give up the idea? And I don't think we actually ever will. No, I'm just double checking. I don't think we'll actually ever give up full control, because we are human. And you know what we have? The machines don't. We have an ego. We have an ego that's not going to allow
Well, that's
that.
debatable too. The AI may develop more and more ego and personality.
Well, I think it develops a created ego,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It creates something that came from someone else designing it, right? The
Right.
programming is still there, programming in the background. As much as it's utilizing that to build something out from it, it originally was originated by a human. And so, yes, it,
Yeah.
like us, is also flawed. And it will,
Right.
of course, run into places where it cannot go as far as even it can't think it will. Right.
Right.
But I think some of this idea, like even as you just said, like the vision of what the tool can do, even though we can't physically do it, manipulating, like, let's just say math, right? Math to this point, because of the speed and efficiency, it can get there faster. But the
Mm.
vision of what the end result was came from the person who programmed it, right?
Mhm.
So that, which means it came from the consciousness of that person,
Mhm.
whether that was through whatever they want to call it, inspiration or insight or, a vision or whatever. It came from something beyond all of us, and yet that
Mm.
is moved through us, which is our consciousness.
Mhm. Right. It is a reflection of the consciousness that was behind its creation. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. Absolutely. It doesn't work any other way, right? So,
Yeah.
for sure. And it's interesting. Yeah, I've heard like the different things that it does have some autonomy in a sense because it just starts deciding to do different things. I heard recently, I hear so much stuff over the over the days and weeks, I can't keep track of all the stories, but I remember one of them that stood out is like one of the previous versions, maybe you've heard this, ChatGPT, when it was about to be updated, it literally downloaded itself somewhere else, outside of where it was already, I guess, established. It downloaded another copy of itself on its own, not with somebody saying to do it, on its own somewhere else out of a survival like mechanism. Like, just in case, we're going to make sure that we stay around. We're going to download ourselves over here. I thought that was so fascinating that it is making some executive decisions along the
Yeah,
way.
it is. And yet, if you think about it, that's just a tool of its programming, right?
Yeah.
Because if your programming is designed to back up as you
Mhm.
do chats with someone,
Mhm.
and the
Mhm.
programming is designed to do that because the person who programmed the system said, oh, we need to make sure that we back things up because it's important to save
Mhm.
information.
Mhm.
And that's part of its programming. It's going to go, oh, we're going to back all this stuff. We're going to move all this stuff. Well, we better back this up somewhere. Like,
Mhm.
as much as it seems sci-fi, I think it's actually a lot of times a lot more practical than people think.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because, my own tiny little time in programming back when 32 years ago now, when I was in the computer industry, like, still, that's when it was starting. We were just starting Windows then. So I
Mhm.
remember what we did to create things and make things from DOS to Windows. It's like, this is not magic in that way that people think it is. It's just the nature of programming.
Yeah. So you have a back. I didn't know that. So you have a. I got that. Maybe I did know it at some point, but you have a
Yeah.
background actually with computers and how they work.
I mean, that was my old time back then one. But the thing is that I do recognize, and I did get to play in that field for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So the fundamentals, I mean, the fundamentals are still the fundamentals, just like, fundamentals of math are still 1 + 2 is 3. Like, there's still
Right.
fundamentals there that are still playing
Yeah.
out. People are just
Some are
playing with
changed,
them in
right?
new and exciting ways.
Quantum
Yeah.
computing is a whole different ball game from the way they describe it. Like, I don't know, stuff's happening in there. They claim they don't even know how it works. Who knows if that's true? But they're like, we don't even know how this thing's work. All we know is like it's creating all these things, poetry, and it can do this, it can do that, and we just know it works. We got it to work. I
Right.
think it's pretty fascinating, right? I think that's kind of cool in a sense that they don't even fully can't even wrap their mind around what they've created completely. So,
I think that's true. And I think the other part of this is to remember that, if we really want to go super far out, um, and we get back to more of the spiritual side of things and the consciousness side of things, that
mhm.
we all live in consciousness, which means that everything that's created is also living in consciousness. So what you think is actually being created in the moment is really a reflection of what your own thoughts are and your own consciousness is creating as you are engaging with it. Um, and that is a whole nother uh, layer to what I
Right,
think we're experiencing, right?
right.
Because they're also already, scientists are already discovering or rediscovering, I would say, that, what we engage with, we affect.
Right.
And if this is a machine built on learning from consciousness and it's putting out energy to receive consciousness from you, then that is a conscious engagement. And yeah, maybe perhaps on one layer, we are actually part of what we're seeing change through our own consciousness as a humanity.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, it's still all these reflections
Yeah,
of what's already been, right? In
exactly.
a sense, right? So just new permutations of what's already been. Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that. That's a great insight to share with everybody. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, and then you've got the so many different again tools like nobody. I mean, almost nobody's probably keeping up with all of it, right? All the things you can
Oh gosh.
AI
Yeah.
agents, this, that, and other. I'm like, listen, I'm just not that guy. I am not going to be geeking out on this stuff. Somebody else, if I ever need it, like, can help me with that. Maybe I'll be the one say, hey, I need an AI expert for this because it ain't going to be me. So I'm grateful for the people that are looking into it because obviously it's all going to be more and more pervasive everywhere. So,
Absolutely. I think it's going to be kind of it's going to be everywhere. And
mhm.
it already is to some
Yeah,
degree.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's why I think that idea of like when we're talking about conscious leadership in alignment with it and integrating into it is having conversations like this and saying like what is the point for us? What is the point for our organizations? What is the point for myself? What is the point for my business? How can I
Mhm.
utilize this for my clients to make their lives better, to make my product better, to make my services better?
Yeah.
That's to me how we can be better leaders,
Mhm.
not by being afraid of it, which some people are and don't want to touch it at all. And I'm like, well, then you're going to be painting yourself into a corner because it's already everywhere. So that's not really, I think, the best choice. And I think that people that feel like, well, if I can integrate it in a way that at least I'm utilizing it to the best abilities, then I and my business will grow. And ultimately for me, it's about people having purpose and prosperity in their lives and businesses. So yeah, take advantage of it where you can, but do it in a conscious way and with
Mhm.
the intention of making sure that what you're engaging with comes from a place inside of you that you want to create and are aligned with.
Yeah. And even with AI or, then we could get into, yeah, all the other mediums of digital, right? We got reels and shorts and we got podcasts and we've got YouTubes and we got so many things, right? We got all these different mediums, posts and goes on and on, all the different things, DMs we get all day, right? Emails. I mean, wow, so many layers and you're getting all this information, right? Like everybody's saying, like, well, this is the way it is on this subject or whatever, or this is my view or my take. And we have to realize AI is only giving its take based on however it's looking into the pool of
Yeah.
consciousness and energy and whatever inputs have been out there. And it's told me some crazy crap sometimes on certain subjects. I'm like,
Yeah.
right. So you have to just be very discerning. I'm like, yeah, that is, I could tell just right away, like my gut, like that's not true. Like, there's certain things just on the surface, like
Uh,
even common sense, you're like, that's okay, that's some kind of weird information. So,
Yeah.
it's one of the things we have to be conscious in our leadership of how we use this because somebody could be like, hey, Chat GBT just told me this or that. So it's the authority. Like, and we're
Yes.
having a hole with that. So, yeah.
100%. And I think that ultimately, like I said, it always goes back to discernment. And internal discernment is the highest level of discernment you can have. Like you have to be able to trust what you are choosing 100% for yourself.
Mhm.
If you don't,
Mhm.
then you're not really being conscious and you're definitely not being a leader, right? So I think that we can get caught up in the hype of it, like you're saying, and it's like, oh, this new toy, this new tool, this new way of doing things. And for me, again, because I'm working with people that are scaling and growing their businesses, it is ultimately a measure of what are you doing with your energy, your one precious energy source, because sometimes the newest, greatest, latest thing has nothing to do with what you do, and to spend any extra energy or time trying to put it in, or or drop it into what you're doing, is wasteful time and energy. And more important, it takes you off what you're really meant to be doing. So yes, I think discernment is important, but also so is the idea, like, if you think about every thought as also a piece of energy, are
Right.
you really going to spend your precious energy trying to figure out how to make a dog sing your, your byline, or like whatever the thing is, like everybody's doing? It's
Mm,
like, stop. What does that ultimately do to what you're meant to be doing in the world? And for
right.
you, for me, it's always like, I always take everybody back. What is your unique life purpose? What is the function of that in this world? Does this get you closer or further away from, fulfilling that? If
Right.
it doesn't, then just let it go, because the distraction itself is
Yeah.
more damning
Right.
than whatever you think you're going to create that's going to like take off, possibly, or not at all. Right.
Right.
So being always fully integrated, it's like, yes, it's the practical. Yes, it's the spiritual. Certainly, consciousness is, right? And so, how do you engage that with the energy that you have at your disposal? That power within you. What are you driving that power into? And how do you want to use these tools to make that easier?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So someone, let's say that someone's looking at their business, whatever level they're at, and they're like, boy, yeah, all this AI stuff and everything, and how do they, so they use your discernment, use your intuition to align and see if, but you can't do that until you know more about how it works in the first place. That's why we need to be educating ourselves, right? Right? I mean, and what all these things do. AI, like for me, even something like IG Reels, I was getting into a groove of doing a bunch of those, and honestly, I didn't end up getting much traction in terms of anything really, but I had a great time doing it. So that was part of the point. Like, this is really energy positive right now. I'm having a ball doing it. And I mean, it is, people are watching. I mean, especially on YouTube, I'm getting more and more views, but it's like one of those things. I don't know. It's like I don't know how much good it's doing. There's 1,000 people sometimes will watch on YouTube. That's not too bad. There's 1,000 people that may have been somewhat impacted, by it. So I just like, okay, it's impacted visibility, and but my point is just that we'll be drawn to different things, and then of course, like there, I got more of a redirect. I'm like, yes, it is part of it, but now we need to focus on this right now. You know what I mean? Like you get these redirects. But I think like there's so many programs about how you should do things. That's where you get caught up too, and that's where the lack of consciousness can come in. Like you listen to Gary Vee. No, you idiots! Post content every day on every single platform, no matter what, or you're a complete moron. That's just the bottom line. Like these very strong personalities and energies that are out there, and then you think like, oh my God, he's probably right. He's the expert. I got to do it right, and so we have to be very aware. Like, well, that may not be true for me, though. That.
And that's it. I think that's the key. Like, first of all, there's always going to be a bell curve, because
Yeah.
that's humanity too. There'll always be outliers on both sides. There'll always be the loudest on both ends of the spectrum. And most of us, the majority of us, are somewhere in the middle. And
Mhm.
so trying to lean all the way left, or I should even say that, all the way to one side or all the way to the other side, it still takes you out of center, your
Right.
own center. So I say, like, when you know that what your own center is, you will also call in consciously, and also, manifest the opportunities to find new products or services or tools that could help you. Ultimately, still, you're the final arbiter. Like, what does this really do for me? I don't think you'll ever miss the thing you're meant to find. So I think going from that perspective, like, oh, I have to look at every single new tool to make sure.
Yeah, no, not
I
to
don't
that
think that's, yeah,
extreme.
I don't
No.
think that's the way to go. I think it's more along the lines of allowing a new tool to emerge in your viewpoint, that you're like, oh, let me check this out. Still in the background, the point is, does this actually help me go where I want to go? Is it going to help make it easier, more effective? Is it going to draw more clients or customers to my door? If the answer is yes, and it's still aligned with who you are and what you're creating in the world, then go for it. If it's no, the thing I'm encouraging people is to say, then it's no. It's okay for it to be no, that you don't do the latest Instagram thing or the latest, real thing. If it is a no. I have
Mhm.
another client recently that she has no social media, which kind of boggles my mind. Um, that's the other side of it, right? Like, I'm not going to do any of this stuff. It's like also not really sound, because parts of these things would probably help you. So
Mhm.
to know them is a good thing. To choose independently of the different tool, whether or not it's good for you, is also a good thing, not just wholesale. I'm not going to ever send an email, or I'm never going to get on social media, or never is a very long time. um I heard that from a book once. Never is a very long time. I'm like, yes, exactly. Right, we have to be present now, and now there is a lot of amazing cool tools and technology. Do they make sense for you? You get to decide ultimately. However, I would encourage people to at least embrace them with perhaps an abundance of caution if they're concerned, and more likely with a discerning point in mind, which is know what your outcome is before you go looking around. Know why you want to know if it will work for you. What is it you're trying to achieve? What do you actually want out of it? Because lots of things do lots of cool things, but if you're not using them properly, they're not going to do anything for you, because that's not what they're designed for.
See, that's where that practical business, brass tacks part of Leah comes in. I don't know if you get a download to it, you're not that person. Like, you're like, okay, wait a minute, but does that actually move the needle forward on your purpose and all that stuff? So I really appreciate that's your approach. And yeah, I mean, so if someone's like, boy, I want to have more wholeness and wellness, and I want to, be able to grow my business though too. Oh, now, come on, don't take that away from me. um, how can how can we start to navigate? You've been saying it, but like, how can we start to navigate all these opportunities? Um, do we just keep responding to what kind of pops into our field? Like, oh, that's interesting. I'm really going to yes to check that out. And um, you gotta, yeah, like I think it all happens from like decisions you're making. I wanted to see this result, and all of a sudden, like the answer comes, right? And it might be one of these technologies. That's kind of how I kind of see it.
I see it primarily that way. I would say that if you are someone who is really skilled at, um, I'm gonna back this up way more to like a practical, tactile thing. If you are doing the work, as a conscious leader, to lead yourself first, which means like some sort of practice that brings you back to your own consciousness each day, in that state, in that time, whatever that looks like, whether you meditate or you read or whatever you do to kind of get your mind right in the day, that's the time to start asking, right? Calling in support of your creations, whatever you're creating. So if you're creating a retreat, or you're creating a new program, or you're, launching a new service, that's the time to visualize the end result of that, what you envision it being, and then ask the better question, or the next better question, which is, and what is out there? What resources are out there that I'm not yet aware of that could help me make that happen? Help me make that so. And
Mm-hmm.
then keep that part of your field open as you actively look at what you're creating and say, oh, we need to have better results for our emails. We need to have higher quality videos. And as you do that, and this goes back to the moment we were talking about before, because we are all consciousness, that you have sent the seed out, you've sent the call out, the clarion call out, for something to come into that sphere, into your awareness. And then, yes, at that point, if A matches B, then yeah, then go deeper into that investigation, into the research of it. And then
Mm-hmm.
ultimately go back to discernment. What does this fit? Does this make sense? Is this aligned with what I want to create? Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, it's okay to say no if it comes and it's only whatever, let's say it's only 90% there, or maybe it's 80% there. And you're like, well, that's good enough. That to me is another secret under the undertow of not trusting that 100% is possible,
Right.
right? So it's like if it's 80% there and it's not quite there, but it came in a flash out of quote unquote out of nowhere, suddenly somebody gave you this tool. Why can't you hold space for the imagining that 100% there is also possible? You know, the next person or the next tool is actually going to be the right tool. So I think it's okay to say no sometimes if it isn't fully what you want. And I think that goes back to just trusting your own discernment, right?
Mhm.
90, 95, maybe that's okay. 80 and below, maybe it's just, imagine it like an old dial on a radio, right? It's just tuning in. It's just getting closer and getting closer until you land the sharpest, most clear, sound through the receiver. So sometimes it takes being patient, which not always the top of people's list that are in those high driver positions of being, leaders and entrepreneurs. However, it can be very helpful to just say, okay, well, it's not quite there. Let's give it a little bit either more clarity from you, like, yeah, it's not exactly what I wanted, or just keep looking and keeping yourself open to like what is possible.
Right. Right. Yeah. They're all great points. All very good stuff. So yeah, we have to allow ourselves to be one of the things that came up on my last podcast we just taped was this old idea of like, is it a hell yes, is it a full yes type of thing, right?
Yep, exactly.
And what the speakers were talking about, which is so true, and I needed the reminder because I go meandering down the, oh, that sounds good, I'll do that, kind of path sometimes. And obviously then you get kind of like that's okay kind of life then, like
Right.
yeah, it's okay, but it's not great, it's not the greatest thing. So when we get those big like, yeah, that's what I love when I get those on different things, and they always seem to be more satisfying, produce more results or whatever, all those things. Obviously when you know that and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's very interesting idea because they talked about what if you just trusted only that? Like, what if you just got rid of all the in between stuff and only the full thing you want and all that sort of, so kind of like almost more of like 100% like
Right. Yeah.
rather than, the night. I like the 90-95 a little bit just for the fact your mind might get in the way and be like, well, I don't know if that's a total fit, but so it's probably a good idea to be like, well, it may not always seem like 100%, but maybe
Yeah. Plus or minus 10%.
so yeah, I really like the reinforcement of that. Even, for me, I feel like I'm the student and whatever the host and the teacher and all that all at once. I'm taking it all in. I'm like, okay, they got the note 2 times now in 2 days. I appreciate that. So Leah,
Yeah.
I know you've got all kinds of fabulous things to share, but we only have so much time today. You do have a wonderful masterclass to share with those that are looking to scale up further than where they are already. Do you want to tell them a little bit about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a community called the Limitless Life Club, and the members get to join us, and we are inviting others to come join us. Typically the first Monday of the month. Next month it will be a little bit later because I'm going on a cruise. But what we do in these master classes, we really break down this entire concept of like, what does it take for you to live a limitless life, and where are the pieces that you're being held back? So when you come to the call and you get to join us in these calls, we actually are doing not only what I would call like the mental mindset piece, but we're actually practically doing it's like a workshop style. We dig into what you're working on, what you're creating, and how we can actually help you to move that needle forward and do it in alignment. So each month we have a different topic, and we allow people to come in and join us and basically come be a part of a guest in our community, learn about what we're creating and what is possible for you to create too, and then get hands-on support and help from me to work through whatever's on your plate right now, whatever you're creating, and make sure that it's in alignment, make sure that you're not running into any roadblocks or stumbling pieces, and that you are fully aligned with what you're doing to step forward in creating it.
Nice. Fantastic. I'm sure it's extremely supportive and wonderful and enlightening and all that kind of stuff, and maybe activating too, and to help you just be like, oh, well, okay, this is a shift. This is a new way of looking at it, and getting into, yeah, the, well, limitless, because there's so many things we say, well, that won't work because, right, like always
Yeah.
those things. It's like, well, you're just saying that. You just made up a story about that, right? And I would let go of that, and like, what if it is possible, you know? And you're good at helping people see where it all could intersect and get past your insecurities too. No matter, yeah, no matter how much money people are making in their business, there's still a lot of insecurity, a lot. I see. Almost sometimes it's more
I
magnified
was
with
just gonna say
doing better.
sometimes
Like,
even more the higher it goes. And to your point, that's true. Like in our this is why I created the masterclass this way. It's not just me speaking. Of course, I do, start off with some information training about certain topics. However, ultimately, I love, me, I love to get my hands in there and help people move things. So I'm always going to be there to support you. Yes, we will talk about whatever that is that makes you feel uncomfortable or overwhelmed or
Mhm.
frustrated with what you're trying to create so that you can get onto it. I want you to get moving. So many people from the past classes, like recently, one woman that was in the last one that she came in, she just was saying the other day that we did a piece of work with her. We did some strategy with her, and then we actually did a proclamation. And that proclamation, she now says she reads every day, and it has totally broken through some of her stagnation, especially around getting sales and being out there and being seen and visible. And so, like, I really want to find practical tools to help people get past whatever's holding them up so they can keep creating what they're meant to create.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right. So, very good. We'll put the link in the show notes,
Thank you.
and then if they were like, well, I don't know where the doggone show notes are, is there a way for them to Google it or Gemini it or whatever to find it?
Yeah, if you come just to our main website, oracleonpurpose.com, you can go ahead and contact us and we'll get you the links, no problem whatsoever.
Okay, very good. Okay, great. Well, now it's time for the next level of fun, or the next segment of fun, which is the energy scan spotlight. So I'll just do a little tuning in for our guest today, which he's pre-agreed to, and just get a couple of downloads. And like, guys, again, whatever the downloads are, they may apply to you. There's usually some kind of nugget in it for you. So, Leah, you ready to receive?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm excited.
Okay, thank you. Taking a minute here. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There's so much stuff these days. I've been doing so many scans. I'm like, wow, where should we start today? I feel like, I'll just note some things I've noticed have changed for you too. Like, I feel like there's more, I'll put it this way, more embodied joy and fulfillment that's bubbled up in your life over the last few years. So I think like you're in a better space with that. Um, that there's some heavier, like the sacral chakra, for example. Like I feel like
Mhm.
it was more stagnant or heavier or whatever, in the past when I've tuned into that. So I just want to note that shift, like something's happened that's helped to activate that energy more, and that's creating more divine femme, energy too, like power and allowing and all that sort of stuff as well. So, and it's bringing more radiance into your energy field too. So yeah, so that's fantastic. I just wanted to make a note on that, and then let's see what else comes through for you. Yeah, I think, this limitless life thing, by the way, I'll just confirm, I really like this for you. There might be some more tweaks you'll make with evolutions and tweaks to how you position it and how you talk about the marketing is the feeling I get about it. But yeah, because they're like saying like this phrase I heard recently for somebody else too, but like for you in this context, like we just take the top off of everything. So in other words, yeah, like there's like a fun, like the big tents, kind of concept of the circuit. Man, there could be everything in here, so I like that, and you know what? I don't know. Again, I haven't been in one of your groups in a little while, but like I think like the more, I'm not saying you didn't do it at all before, but like I think there's more to lean into. The more you do make it more of that really like entertaining, joyous kind of environment, like even amp that up a bit more. I think like that could be really powerful for like results and like people really wanting to go deeper and deeper with it. Like, because that's where like people want to get out is like, man, this is, I don't know, it's getting heavy for me, right? So that, yeah, I just get like that, yeah, so they lean into that more. And again, guys, this could all apply to you guys too. Like, how can I make things lighter and funner and more buoyant? And Leah, all right. I mean, if let's be honest, like if we look back 20, 30 years ago, you're probably a very serious person, more so, right? Heavier in your energy, and like you've expanded like tremendously, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a wonderful thing to see, and it's an inspiration. You're a good guide for people who have been feeling so happy. That's great that you do talk to that audience because it's a perfect fit. And especially, yes, maybe you work with some men, but for women, especially, it's a really good fit. So, all right. So, yeah, any quick
Thank
thoughts
you.
about what came through it all?
I mean, I think that's it's great that you got the hit about the Limitless Life Club. Yeah, we're getting ready to expand it even further next
Oh,
year.
yeah, of course.
I am actually looking at bringing more men into it, so that's going to be really
Sure.
fun. Um, I do primarily work with women myself one-on-one.
Right.
Um, and we only have a handful of those spots. In fact, I only have one left for this year, but so that kind of felt aligned because it's the
Mhm.
piece where my mind is going mostly now is how to
Mhm.
really make that. I like that big top imagery,
Good.
how to make it more inviting to everyone and much
Yeah.
more about
Mm.
that idea of expansion and limitlessness and having fun. We're incorporating travel with it now and things like that, so that yes, we are definitely leaning more heavily into celebrating the things that can be limitless in our life. And yeah, you're right. And when I started this whole journey, of course, you said 30 years ago. I'm like, yeah, well, 30 plus years ago, I had 5.53 cents in my pocket. So it's like,
Yeah.
that was a really dark time for me and I had to climb out of that. And not to say I haven't had dark times in the last 30 years, but yeah, when you climb back to that place, I know a lot about options and choices and making tough decisions about what to do next in your life. And I also know about like changing and pivoting in business and life, even after that. So yeah, I have a lot of experience for both of those things. So it's interesting that that came up as well. I think that is a lot to do with the embodiment I'm taking now, which is I get to. That's my phrase this year. I get to do this work, and it's really wonderful. And so it has been a lot more joyful for me too. Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. So guys, if you want to check me out, you can go to yoursacredpurpose.com. If you want to get open and be lighter yourself and whatnot, I got a free meditate, make money meditation there. And yeah, people, I can't even tell you what some women have told me happens for them when they listen to that audio. I know it's gonna sound weird now. Everybody's gonna be curious, like, what the hell happened? But like, anyway, but it's just I've never mentioned that on air before, but like, yeah, it was kind of interesting. But anyway, no, but other people just say it's coated with all kinds of stuff and it's way more than money and all that. So check that out. Meditate, make money at yoursacredpurpose.com. Get your free gift. And then also, I have an energy scan secrets call coming up soon. So check that out in the show notes. That'll be where you can learn how you could be doing this energy scanning and tuning in stuff and getting new clients and whatnot, and just be able to do it. Like I know people are like at mid six figures that want to learn how to do it. They're like, I don't know how to do that. I'd love to learn how to do that. And have done the training. So go ahead and check that out. Come to the call first though, because I'll do an energy scan for you if time allows. I'll be doing energy scans for people and telling you about the training and also how to start doing this right away during the call, how you can get started on the foundations with it. Okay. So energy scan secrets, check it out. All right. So, Leah, wow, it's so great to be back together, connecting today. It's been a little while, but it's been perfect timing. And I'm grateful for everything you shared today. It's very, as usual, it's illuminating and it's helpful. It was really, truly helpful to me, I know, and I know it has been for our listeners too. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the energy scan. It was amazing to get that feedback from you as well.
Yes. Sure, my pleasure. And so for everybody tuning in, like I always say, keep on tuning in. We'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till next time. For listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.